President Ship Operations, Battleship Texas Foundation. Well, we're coming to you live for the first time, and well, you know what? Since a year ago, right? The last lives that we did were during the tow 1 year ago today. We've been posting to our Facebook account or our Facebook group all day with our pictures and recollections of the tow and the memorable experience that was. I'm hoping to share a little bit with you a little bit later on with that, but right now we are. Well, I'm standing on top of the conning tower. Kyle's on some scaffolding, and we're underneath the navigation bridge. This is something that we haven't shown people. The work that's going on actually on the ship right now. Um, the focus of all of our activity has been on the hull and on the blisters to get the hull watertight. But we had the opportunity this summer to keep moving ahead with some repairs in the superstructure. So we are doing that now, and this is a project that's funded by a grant from the Institute of Library and Museum Services, so IMLS, and that's through the Save America's Treasures grant program. So we are very, very grateful to IMLS for awarding us this grant, for allowing us to do the work that we're doing. And here in a little bit, we'll show you some of the work that Gulf Copper is doing. But the first thing I want to point out to you is this beautiful blue. This is the color that the ship will be painted coming out of dry dock. This is navy blue 5N, and the color that she would have looked in the Pacific between, well, January 1945 and right before she came to Texas, before she got painted haze gray. So this is the longest camouflage scheme, or the camouflage scheme she wore the longest. Before we kind of show you some of the repairs, one of the things I really want to point out while we're here is some of the battle damage from June 25th, 1944. So like this flange right here behind me, this is actually deflected upwards from the blast, and then you just see up here. That's also the frame's been deflected by the blast of the explosion. I'm pretty much standing right where the shell exploded on June 25, 1944, and of course that caused the ship's one combat fatality and about 14 other casualties, most of them pretty severe, or a number of them pretty severe rather. One of the things that this work has allowed us to do is actually see a lot of the ship's battle scars that weren't apparent before. Once you put the nice shiny paint on there, you start seeing things that you couldn't see before, like dents in the steel that was very much caused by blast damage and flying shrapnel, and not just someone hitting it with a hammer. But anyways, so Kyle, let's look at some of the repair work that Gulf Copper is doing. And before we're going to kind of move around a little bit. We're going to be up here on the scaffolding for a bit, and then we're going to head down to the signal bridge. We'll show you the work that's been gone on down there, or that has gone on down there. And then we're going to head down to actually on the dock and walk around. In the meantime, each location we'll do a little bit of Q&A. So I know you folks have questions, and well, we want to answer them. So, and I'll do my very, very best to answer them the best I can. Now, so one of the big issues that we've had in the superstructure was in the late 70s. There was a lot of repair work done, but it was very quick and dirty work because the structure was, well, it was starting to really fall apart. And the repairs that were done are good interim repair, but over the long term, they weren't the best. And and they were done with the resources that were available at the time. So I can't fault the folks for making the decisions that they did at the time and doing what they could with the resources that they have. That's just a constant struggle with any ship repair project. You never have enough budget, you never have enough money, and you never have enough time. Actually, you probably have more than enough. Well, yeah, sorry, you never have enough of any of those. So they did what they could, and they had to make compromises. And so one of the things that we've had to come back and do is in areas where they've, the original deck was cut out and a new deck was laid in, the repairs weren't tied in very well, and it's caused pack rust to grow. Like this frame right here that I have my hand on, it was actually deflected down about 4 inches. So we had to go in blast all the corrosion out, and bend the frame, Gulf copper bent the frame back up, welded everything up. And you can see there's a weld bead right here. The the frame is actually a piece of plate with and a piece of angle stock riveted to it. So those are, it's called a built-up frame, and all through right here, that was all separating from pack rust. So the guys here did an absolutely fantastic job of getting this cleaned out, pinching everything back together, putting a rust um, converter in there to address the corrosion that was in there, and then pinch it back together using wedges and dogs, and then welded it up so we wouldn't have that issue again. And that's kind of a lot of the things that we're doing right here is a lot of preventative measures so that our goal is to kind of address the issues that we have and set the ship up for better success in the future. So we're not having to do this again. Or if we are, it's on a very much more limited scale. This superstructure project is the total budget for it is around a little under $1.2 million, and we and the state the grant that we have is a 1-to-1 matching grant. So we get $500,000 from the federal government, and we have to match that with through in-kind donations or labor or cash, right? So your support is very critical to what we're doing right here, and it does make a tangible impact on what we're doing. And there's a lot of different ways that you can support what we do. One is, obviously you can go to our store and buy merchandise. You can make a donation on our website. We have a lot of new products, and as we go, commemorative things from that we've made from pieces from the ship, like silhouettes from the steel of the blisters to pins and things like that. And as we get later into the live stream, we'll talk about that a little bit more. I don't want this to be an infomercial, but we do like for you to have your support, and we do thank you for your support. So, Kyle, what here would you think we should point out? All right, all right. Ah, yeah, not the safest right here, but we'll make it work. All right, once we get over here, you want to see that piece right there, right? All right. So one of the pieces of battle damage that we couldn't see, even up here because of the paint layers, and just again, your eye's not trained to see. Oops, sorry. Other way. Okay. Still in the way. All right. Sorry, I'm not good at doing this thing live. It's a little different. Anyways, it's like this big gouge right here. That's actually a piece of shrapnel that came through. And Kyle, if you want to move closer, you can see right here the shrapnel came up this way, gouged here, hit this bracket here, and then it expended all of its energy right here. And then there's like a piece right here as well. So all of this damage, we've tried to, we in Gulf Copper have worked very hard in trying to maintain, because this tells the story of what this ship went through and what our men went through in combat. And it's a very important piece of history. All right, Kyle, do we have does anyone have any questions while we're standing here right now? If the turret still rotates. Well, I'm pretty sure we could make them rotate, but that'll take a little bit of money and a lot of time. That I have to admit, that is on my bucket list of things to do. And my good friends at the Iowa really kind of inspired me and really want to try to do that at some point. But I think that's probably a good 20 years away. We've got a lot of ship to get taken care of before we can start putting the cherry on top of things. Yes, we'll be continuing our restoration program on the interior of the ship, and at a bare bones, coming out of the dry dock when we open, the ship will be cleaned and the interior will be repainted. At least what was open to the public before we left San Jacinto, or before the ship closed at San Jacinto. Now, we are have a number of compartments that we want to get restored and open to the public. And, a lot of that depends on the success of our capital campaign and our efforts to raise money. And we are working on that very hard. Um, the so some of the spaces that I'd love to get that's on our list to get restored is like and open to the general public, not just a hard hat tour, is like the handling room for turret 3. That is a really key space that we think that we can get the general public in and out of fairly easily, at least as easily as the engine rooms. Yes, getting the engine rooms reopened. And the another key thing would be opening up more of third deck, so you can kind of walk more third deck around it instead of just the limited areas that have been open in the past. So, all right, what else? Restoration. Oh, that's a loaded question, buddy. Or ma'am. Um, in all honesty, it's never done. We're going to keep going until I've long since retired from the ship or gotten run off, or and Kyle's probably been retired. It's never ending. But for the yard period that we're in right now, the ship will be on dock until the end of February. The end of February, she'll go back in the water, and then we'll move over onto a pier within the shipyard for more work to happen. One of the big things that we have going on is working on the wood deck. We're trying to replace all of it while we're still within the shipyard, but out of the dry dock, and obviously repaint the ship as well. But again, we're working on that very hard, and we're going to try to get as much of that done as we can.
Somebody asked how accessible the area is that we're at right now.
Kyle, you want to do a pan shot around this?
I can stop hitting my head.
Yeah, watch your head there, buddy.
Someone's asking what camouflage palette she's going to paint it in.
Measure 21, the superiorest of the camouflage.
This is a very awkward spot.
Yeah, buddy, be careful, man. So there hasn't been this much scaffolding up on the ship around the superstructure in a very long time. We have it up. We're doing a lot of work. While we have the scaffolding up, we're trying to get as much add-on stuff as we can that our budget will allow us to do. So like putting back all the deck drains so that everything drains properly and just doesn't fall to the decks below and then pound the paint so the paint fails and we start getting rust and we start getting corrosion and pitting and holes in the deck. Also, putting things back like the siren and whistle pools that run, from the smokestack up to the pilot house. Those have been inaccessible without the scaffolding. Potentially some of the voice tubes as well. We're working hard as much and trying to get done as much as we can with the resources that we have available to us right now. Having the scaffolding in place makes it really, really huge and allows us to get a lot more done. So, in fact, today I spent all day working on layouts of the deck drains, revising those, getting ready to turn those over to the shipyard so that they can start fabbing them and hanging brackets. Same thing with the voice tubes, and or at least working up a budget for that to see if we can actually afford to do that. And the same with some of the other things that we want to do. So getting more power up into the superstructure, so running more cabling for things like the actual navigation lights, right? So we can get all the navigation lights running. So there's a lot of things like that we're trying to get done, and we want to maximize what we have available to us right now, but not overextend ourselves.
Somebody asked, if money wasn't an issue, what would we like to restore, and what size shelf is the ship?
Oh, sweet. Well, the easy answer to that first question of, if money was not unlimited, what we would like to restore? Everything. A fully functional dreadnought would be the dream, at least my dream, anyways. And that's gradually what we work towards over the long haul, is to try to get the ship back more towards her original functionality, outside of maybe getting steam up and getting underway and shooting 14-inch guns. But That's the thing that we're always striving for, is to try to make the ship more alive, more and just continually better. But yes, having functioning turrets and functioning engines and functioning boilers, and the interior of the ship just as pristine as it was on you know March 12th, 1914. That's the goal, man. Um, Maybe not look like 1914, but you know what I mean. And then the second question was the shell. It was a German, rather, it was an Austrian, uh, Austro-Hungarian shell that was fired by a German coastal defense battery in 1944. It was a 240 millimeter shell, so which is around 9 inches in American.
Is there any way that the guns could be elevated similar to what other battleships have, of like a 5-degree increase?
Yes, that is possible. In fact, prior to the 1989 dry docking, or 1988 and 89 dry docking, the gun, all the turrets were elevated. They were at their maximum elevation of 15 degrees, and going into that dry docking, the turrets were lowered. As of right now, we're not going to elevate them. We're going to keep them at zero. Uh, in fact, turret 5 is currently at 5 degrees, and I'd actually like to bring it back down to zero as well. But that might be a little difficult, and maybe a little bit too, because of obstacles or not obstacles, but structures back there. A little tempting for some visitors to want to climb on things. So,
Battleship New Jersey is also in the map as well.
Battleship New Jersey. Just remember, guys, we're still the fastest battleship in 2022, and probably 2023 as well. So
Keep holding that record.
we're going to keep holding it. That's right. That's right. And the have the most miles. Shouldn't say steamed, but well, in this heat, probably steamed is pretty accurate. No, most distance moved. I think we're going to hold that one for a while. Um, but anyways, so we love the guys from New Jersey, Ryan and Libby, and Elena. So we always tease them all the time. All right, what do we want to do now, Cal? Do we want to move down? Or we want to keep talking here? I mean, it is nice and shaded.
Move around for the other side as well.
Sure. When we get up here, actually, for that guy that asked the question about the scaffolding, the access difficulty, show down to see how much scaffolding is built up here. What's up, bud? You want to pass off, or you got it? Okay. But yeah, one of the things I could have showed them is our pilot house, believe it or not, is English built. It was built in 1918 in England, and it bears all at least the original pilot house itself, and its structure still shows all the stampings from English steel mills. But you can tell where the new when the ship was reconstructed in 1926. You can see where the new Carnegie steel was put in, the American steel, and where it joins up with the English steel, and we have this new structure. Because to be honest with you, when the pilot house was put on the ship, my head is right about the deck level of the pilot house way back in 1918. And then in 1926, when the cage mast went away and the tripods were built, the pilot house was picked up about 6 feet or so. And so that all that structure that's up under here that set off that 240 shell that has a lot of damage, had a lot of damage in it, corrosion damage in it, that was all built in 1926. And so, like, yeah, there's maybe one there. There you go. What's it say, Cal? Cargo Fleet England was the name of the foundry who made that steel. What's up? Oh, yeah. So one of the key things that one of the first things that we did in repairing the superstructure is you can see right here, so that's rusty. Well, that's been blasted, right? We put tape on it before we put the primer and then the paint on it to keep it clean, but it was to get as much rust scale out as possible. You can see the weld line right here. We actually cut this piece of built-up I-beam off and took it down. They took it down to the deck and took it apart, cleaned all the rust out of it, and then put it back together and welded it back up. The guys working on this did an absolutely fantastic job of actually saving the rivets and keeping them. So we're trying to keep as much of that look as possible, and yeah, it's a much stouter structural member. That I-beam, so you have it's two pieces of C channel, right? They were put together back to back. Well, the pack rust had gotten inside of them, and they were doing this. So you could actually stick your hand inside the gap that had formed from the rust, just powering that steel apart, which was obviously structurally compromising the structure. So, yeah, let's do that. What's that? Yeah. Sweet. Sorry if it's a little loud, folks. We're doing this a little differently than we normally have. So usually we're wired, and right now I'm having to use my Bluetooth headset. So some of the work that we've been doing, I mentioned the signal bridge before. So the this is we're looking down at the signal bridge. That circle there in the middle, that is a 40 millimeter mount, right? So that's where we had 40 millimeter mount number 3. And this was all covered. That whole deck down there, where it's gray, was covered with a doubler. What's called a doubler is just a piece of steel or plate that's put over an existing piece of plate and then welded down, right? So it's a cheap way of doing a repair. If they're done well, there's really no issues. If they're done poorly, it is cancer. And we had a little bit of cancer going on down here. The captain's cabin leaked incessantly, and for the first time in a long time, there are no leaks in the captain's cabin. But in doing this, one of the things that we discovered is, see this little circle right over here to the right? Sorry, my finger. Right here. That is the foundation where the 1.1 was at. So that was the very first heavy machine gun that the ship had, or heavy anti-aircraft gun they had, besides the 3-inch guns. So that was a nice piece of history that we were able to uncover, and all the little quirks that we found, which has actually been pretty neat. In fact, we found a ammo passing scuttle for 40 millimeter rounds that we hadn't seen before, that we didn't know exist, and we found it. Was like, what in the world is this? And then went back and looked at some um, um, historic photographs, and then lo and behold, in one it just popped up. So there it was, and had we not saw what was there, we wouldn't have actually recognized that in that picture. All right, Kyle, you down? All right, sweet. Oh, sweet. Okay. Well, we're off the scaffolding now. Yeah, I'll let you walk around with it here in a minute so I can take the this harness off. Sorry, my fingers. I'm not a good cameraman, folks. You're better than me, Kyle. All right. So just in case y'all are wondering, we're using basically an iPhone and and an AirPod to really do this. So if the quality's a little on the poor side, that is well, sorry. We're doing the best we can. So yeah, so you can see. Sorry, I'm gonna pass off to you right here. There we are. And I'm gonna get out of the picture here and get this harness off. But you can see all the patchwork that had been done to this deck over the years. Some of it was, by the Navy. Some of it was Battleship Texas Commission, doing the work that they were doing. The interesting thing here that we found, there's always things that you find that you weren't expecting to see. And one of the things that we found that really shocked us, like, what in the world is this piece of plate here? This corrugated plate. The only place that we see corrugated plate on the ship is down in the machinery spaces. So like the deck plates, the bottom deck plates in the engine room, and the shaft alleys and those kind of things. So what we think is there was a leak here, and the Battleship Texas Commission, so they were the very first stewards of the ship after the Navy, just they use what material was available and are pulling up deck plates. These plates are loose; they're screwed down to framing, so they just grabbed that and pulled it up and welded it in place. So there's a lot of them just kind of scattered around. Um, but yeah, sometimes you do have to do what you have to do. We try to avoid, not try to avoid. We avoid very heavily pulling from other parts of the ship for uh, to restore or to well, really to do anything on the ship, because it's robbing Peter to pay Paul, and eventually you're going to have to pay the piper. That's a lot of alliteration there. Sorry. All right, but yeah, we this has been a yeah, all the scaffolding up there. So we are starting to lose light. It is amazingly a very lovely evening in Galveston. It is not blisteringly hot. It's not humid. There's actually a nice cool breeze out of the south. Uh, Actually, kind of no. Actually, it was hotter during the tow. I was gonna say it reminds me of the tow. No, 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 no. So we're gonna head down, continue heading down, and one of the things I do want to show you guys is the aft fire control tower. We're not gonna go up inside of it because it's a little cumbersome to get up there, but um, the but I do think it's worthwhile to show you what we have going on. We're gonna go on to the port side, work our way through here. All right. So if you notice, if you've ever seen the ship before, if you've seen the ship before in modern times, this was all just nothing but plate, right? There's no holes cut in or anything. Historically, there were windows there. Um, so we're having to do a lot of structural work in this area right now. We've just about got that structural work done, and we had to replace all the decks in there. We put in deck drains, everything that we need to do to again set the ship up for a better chance for the future. And so we're evaluating on the costs and really the cost of putting the windows back in, so this looks like it did in 1945. And then one of the things that was done just actually last Friday was um, the F5 control tower actually had two vegetable lockers in it. So there was a lower vegetable locker in here, which we use for uh, hose storage and that kind of thing, and then an upper vegetable locker, which had the deck was completely rotted out in. Um, so and there was a door here. So we opened everything back up, and you can see where the original sides to that kind of entryway into that um, the upper vegetable locker was, and we're going to complete that out and they're putting the deck in right now, and Kyle's going to pop the camera inside so you guys can see what's what. Yeah, not much of a sight here. So the deck's going in. I just got a big piece of plate in today, and then we should have everything fitted out in here by the end of the day, Saturday or Monday. No pressure, Gulf Copper guys. No, the so this thing's gonna look absolutely phenomenal. There's still a lot of work that needs to happen here. I'm estimating that we have probably another 2 to 3 weeks worth of work before we can kind of get into the kind of punch out stuff that's left to get done, which is kind of opening up the rest of the windows areas, and then because there's still some little bit of corrosion that needs to be addressed. Steel that's separating that needs to be put back together. So we are powering along on this, and this is one of the projects that really makes me really happy about the work that we're doing, because it's something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. Pretty much everything that we've been doing, I've been wanting to do for a very long time, but now having in the yard having the ability to do this. There'll be scaffolding going up on this probably next week, as soon as we're laying that new deck in there. Um, we're trying to put the windows back in. We're working on the budgeting process right now, the estimation process, and we're trying to come up with the best solution so we get the look that's functional and it keeps water out. That is paramount. Keep water out. Yeah, yeah. All right, so we're gonna head down. Up here is on the outside of the dock, so the ladder is over the water, and yeah, I'd rather not and stream and deprive these folks of good stuff. But then it's an opportunity to walk through the air castles, so we can show you some of the work that's happened there, particularly with the 5-inch guns. We have done a lot of work with our 5-inch guns. And in fact, right now we have 2 guns completely restored, a third gun that is around 80% restored, and we are just starting to really churn through those guns. Kyle and Marco and Jose have been doing an absolutely fantastic job on working on those guns. Now, you might ask, well, why are you doing that, right? Well, twofold. One, we have the opportunity to do the work that needs to get done. To get the guns out of here was very tricky. So we took the gun up, went through the gun port with it. But because of the way that the gun is put together to get it out of the mount, the gun basically had to come all the way up to here. So we had less than an inch of clearance to get the gun out of the gun port and fly it out onto the dock. So once we got the gun out, then it was addressing the other pieces of the mount. So we took the mount apart, loaded those pieces on pallets. Each one of those major components was like 4,500 pounds. The gun itself was 16,000 pounds, and then it left us with these bases here. So one of the key reasons why we're doing this work is outside of restoring the guns, because they are very historic in their own right, is the wood foundations that are under these mounts have rotted severely. So it was starting to cause some structural issues with the guns themselves and how they were mounted. So we're going to pull all this wood up. We'll blast all the steel, put a good coat of primer down, and then bed new wood down. We thought that this was teak because the original drawings for the ship said that the teak under the guns, particularly under the 5-inch guns, was teak. But while pulling a piece off, it's pretty obvious it wasn't teak. But we're still not quite sure what species it is because it's just so saturated with oil and lubricants. So we're still working through that. But we are going to put wood down. We did think about putting a synthetic, like something like HDPE, but because of if we have to put heat into this area, that polyethylene, whatever, the HDPE would potentially burn or smolder and release noxious fumes. We don't want that. We'd rather deal with the wood because it's something that we can deal with. And one of the other things that makes this so much better than before is we actually put the water guard back in the waterway to protect the wood from the deck water runoff. So this is actually the gutter that runs to the air castle right here. The gun butted right up against the gutter, and this was mostly washed away or rusted away on every single mount. And water was getting into this and not rusting it, rotting it. Like rust is just steel rot, right?
Somebody asked if the gun port's closed.
No, the gun ports in the air castle were not closed. Now the gun ports on the second deck, those were closed. Those had shutters to keep sea spray out and heavy weather. But up here, no. What we do know was canvas covers were used from time to time. In fact, we still have the hooks that are remnant of that, and I've thought about it many times about trying to make covers to put back in, particularly in the winter, so we can keep heat in the air castle and wind and rain out. We don't get much snow here, but we do get some rain. What's that? Sure. What's that?
Don't ask for wearing steel toe
I are. um, so yeah, a lot of this was falling apart, just like it was in the navigation bridge. Again, caused by pack rust. So Gulf Copper came in. The guys actually cut this piece off. Really, this is just a piece of half pipe right here that was riveted to the plate behind it. So what they did was cut the original plate out because it was pretty heavily deteriorated. Weld the new piece in, take the half pipe and put it in. And they also managed to keep the rivets as well. I can't say enough about the work that these guys are doing and how absolutely great it is. And every one of these guys um, is proud to be a part of this project and the work that's going on here. Um, in fact, we get hit up every day, not every day, but at least once a week by certainly the new guys for stickers for their hard hats. Um, because they're proud to be a part of this project. They want to be associated with it. So we keep trying to come up with new sticker designs and give to these guys. So uh, pretty much we've been giving each major milestone we had hit. We've given stickers to kind of commemorate that. So when we completed our last blister module, we did we did a cookout here with them, and well, actually, our project management and engineering company did sponsored it, and but we handed out more stickers and more swag, and we look to do that again. So sure.
not as much room over here.
Well, you can collect our stickers from our website. We do sell them there, so yeah, grab them there. And speaking of which, please, at least today, I'm pretty sure we still have the sale going on. You can go to our website. We do have some things on sale to commemorate the. Sorry, I'm pointing it at the floor because I'm just gesticulating instead of holding the camera and pointing at nice things. Yes, they are on the website. There you go. By the way, Hunter is running our interacting in the chat and moderating, so hats off to Hunter. Hunter and Kyle have been doing a fantastic job. Um, so one of the things I want to point out standing here is one, this is such a unique view, right? I mean, so there's all the scaffolding that we were on, and hello, Australia. Anyways, and then you can also see all the new blister modules that have been installed. So the new torpedo blisters. I mean, it looks almost the same as it did in a year ago, this time last year, but so much better, and so much new steel is in. We would pop in and show you guys what's going on in there, but yeah, it's a little difficult to, and most of those have actually been closed up. So we're gonna start the long climb down the stair tower. I hate these stairs. I don't mind doing stairs, but my knees. I hit 40 and it feels like I'm falling apart. Um, so I can kind of commiserate with the Battleship a little bit. All right. Yes, someone is on a bike. A lot of the guys on the yard move around by bicycle. It's a lot quicker that way. So, um, but does anyone have any questions while we're going down the ladders? I'm gonna try to read and not trip over my feet, over my steel toe moccasins. How far is it from the very top? It's about 170 feet. Yes, we will be doing work on the fire control towers. That will happen after we get off dock and go pier side. It's so hard. We have kind of limited access up there. We need kind of crane access to be able to get material up there. Yeah, that's what we just did. So those cube things are where the ship's mooring system attaches to. So it's a monopile system. There are 6-foot diameter piles that are driven around 150 feet into the ground, below the mud of the wherever the berth of the ship's at, and There's sleeves that slide up and down, and the sleeves attached to the ship, and that is what moors the ship. It's a very easy system to use. It's a very um, oh sweet. Yeah, we're gonna go we're gonna go we're gonna go to the light. Come closer to the light. Hopefully it's not a bug zapper. So I can kind of show you some of the stuff that we're doing right now. Actually, cool. So we're under the ship. And it's a little dark, so you don't get as much going on. Oh, so that's looking forward, and that's looking aft. So the ship's about 4 foot off the bottom of the dock, or the top of the deck of the dock. You can see one of our keel blocks here. So what these guys are doing here, they're actually putting in an insert right here. We cut up in a lot of areas so we can clean all the muck out of the bottom of the ship, and so that's all getting welded back in right now. So pretty much every tank in the bottom of the ship had at least 2 of these openings in it, and we're putting them back in. We're starting to get the ship ready to come off dock at the end of February. So in case you guys have missed it, we will be splashing the ship. Should be splish splash, taking a bath in at the end of February. Seems like a long time away, but that is a clock that's ticking very hard on us. All right, so I'm going to walk down here, so a little bit into the shadows. That is one of the holes that was cut open in the bottom of the ship. You can kind of see all the kind of rusty stuff. I'm thinking about which it is. It's a wonderful modern world that we live in. Sorry, I just got attacked by a mosquito in a place where I couldn't scratch. So that's the kind of bottom of the ship, the inside of the inner bottom of the ship. Like I said, there's a lot of rust scale in here. Unfortunately, we do not have the budget to go through and clean this like we would like to, and put a new coating system in. So what we're going to do is just kind of any structural deformation that we see, we're going to repair, and then kind of button everything back up, make sure that we're watertight. So when we dry dock again in 15 years, this will be definitely on our list of things to get done. Now, cool thing is, you can see how thick the steel is right here. So the steel was originally 5/8, and right here we're still probably at least a ½ inch. So you can still see she's got a lot of good meat left to her. So, all right. And by the way, that's the ship's keel right up here. That's the keel. The center vertical keel, or the CVK, and then here's the flat keel. This is the flat keel right here. This piece right here. It's about 4 foot wide. And then on top you have the vertical keel, which works as like an I-beam. All right. Man, they're really riding into my back. The mosquitoes haven't been bad. I think they've been avoiding the heat as well. And until to this afternoon, and then, oh man, I'm getting eaten up. Whew. All right. So you can see all of the new blister modules that have gone on. So all the old lower torpedo blisters have been removed, and the new, most of the new tanks, like 90% of them, these new tanks were built in a shop, in a factory setting, and then installed as modules on the ship. So very much kind of modern construction on an old ship, which is very cool. It was very cost effective for us to do too. It gave us a good product with a good end result with substantial savings. How's it going, man? And then you can see like nice, keeping a lot of her curves. We get this nice big curve as the blisters move aft and start to move towards their termination. By the way, these tanks back here, are just absolutely massive. So you can see how wide this is. This tank is almost, yeah, this tank is almost 11 feet wide. I'm sure if our naval architect at the bottom is Tim Greason is on the in the chat, or our guys from Valcourt, they'll probably correct me and give me the exact measurement. Which, great guys. Just want to make sure you're watching, right? Danny, if you're watching, I love you, brother. Um, anyways, so you can see here as we're putting in more new steels going up. This, sorry, this last gray strip right here, from this right here to right here, that is the last blister module. So that was module 9, and then everything else, or oh, sorry, 11. Everything else after that is like more normal ship construction. So we put the frames in first, and then build the skin in, or attach the skin in over the top of it. So you can see we've got two plates that are being fitted up right now, and the bulk of them are actually in place and ready for the welders to come in and actually start welding them out. So the process here is there are a group of guys called fitters, and what they do, they're welders, but they know how metal, the properties of metal, right? They know how to. They're the artisans of the bunch, and what they do is come in, they shape the steel, they form the steel into the place it needs to go, and then they tack it in place using these little brackets right here. Those are called dogs and wedges. They shape it in, and then they'll tack it into place. And then once it's in place, the welders come along, and then they will do the full weld out. And then the fitters are skipping to a different place to do the same thing. And it's just kind of a leapfrog fashion all the way down. Now, as we get down here to the end, you can see just absolutely how much steel that we have going in. And it's, man, having gone through a number of leaks on the ship, seeing all this, particularly all these leaky areas back here, is absolutely amazing to see. And it just makes me so kind of, well, giddy. I mean, I really am giddy. I'm happy to see this, and it's just absolutely amazing. All right, so questions. No, we're not straightening it. Come and straighten it. In fact, if you want to try to come straighten it, you can come and on one of our dock tours, which start this Sunday, and try to straighten it yourself. We give you the opportunity. There's an ancient urban legend that I made up a year ago that says that if you straighten the rudder, then you become captain of the battleship. We'd like to reactivate the cranes, but that is going to be an expensive proposition. But yes, that is actually pretty high on my list to do, to fundraise for and do, because that would give us so much utility wherever we're at. Actually, this is one of my favorite views right here. I want to step back here for a second. We're going to come back. There's the rudder. 14.5 degrees forever, baby. No, it's right here. So we're right in line with the keel. And you can see where the propeller shafts came out. That's these guys right here. And then come on up this way. And a paint job is what she'll have. There's your 21. And you can see the curvature of these blisters. The workmanship that has gone on to shape these things is absolutely incredible. I mean, that's a testament to the team that we have here, both from the engineering perspective, from the historic preservation side, which is me, that's my contribution here, and then our engineers, so Brad and Aldo from Valcor, helping to project manage this thing, and then the naval architect, Sealy Technical Services, actually designing these blisters and making them work, and then Gulf Copper doing the hard work in this incredible heat of putting them in. The inside of these blister tanks in August, the early part of August was over 140 degrees. It was absolutely miserable, and they were doing a fantastic job of getting them put in, and zero heat casualties. That is the amazing thing to me. More than anything, as amazing zero heat casualties. Can't wait though. Yeah, me too. New AC units. That is something we are working on. That is one of the big things that we want to do is uh, kind of utilize as much of the ship's original systems as possible, somewhat a little bit of a retrofit, and use and at least not air condition the ship, but at least climate stabilize the ship. So it's a little bit more comfortable in the interior. So, it's a hot August day, it's 100 degrees. We hope to knock the temperature down at least 10 to 15 degrees and then drop the humidity by half, which should actually feel really, really nice in Texas. I will certainly do that. I mean, I do that every day. Hey, there's a guy that watches these videos. Well, I know a lot of guys do, but I do want to give a special shout out to Mr. Ortiz, Mr. Toto Bien. He is an absolutely great guy, and so say hi to Ortiz if he's in here, and uh, if he is, I'll probably hear about it tomorrow. But he's one of the foremen that on the dock, and he is an absolutely great guy to work with, and he keeps everything running smoothly, keeps everything Toto Bien. All right. So, what other questions you guys have? She's going to be birthed. Well, that's we're working right now to keep the ship in Galveston. We're working with a lot of different stakeholders, and we're working and hoping to have kind of an equitable arrangement by all parties by the end of in the coming months. So, yes, our objective is to keep the ship in Galveston. Yes, no more gangsterly. That was a funny TikTok, but they got all left for a while. All right. Yes, wood deck is likely to get replaced, and we're looking to do it after the ship goes back in the water in February. Are there any remnants? Yes, there were. Well, the only remnants were the blanks where the torpedo tubes were. Once we removed the four blisters, we could see where the openings had been blanked over, and that was pretty incredible to see. I'm not gonna lie, it would be cool to see her. Sort of, yeah, I don't want to see World War III. But yes, it would kind of be cool, but I don't want to see World War III. Measure 21. Why I shave his head? We cannot move the turret. Yes, we will be painting the entire exterior. She will ride about the same level. Yes, she will be safe from a hurricane in Galveston. Our mooring system, let's put it this way, through all the stakeholders that we have to go through to put the ship anywhere. So whether it's at San Jacinto, whether it's in Galveston, whether if it's on any navigable body of water, we have to have the Army Corps of Engineers sign off on this, and they're not going to allow a marginal plan on this. We will have a robust system, and not only that, we want a robust system because we don't want the battleship, trying to escape and get to sea out on her own. We want to be aboard when that happens. But no, hurricanes is not that much of a concern here for us. I'm curious in terms of weight and energy the final teleam materials. Man, I went into history because I was told there would be no maths. And you're trying to make me do maths. Take her off. I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't know if they will be able to do that, but I think that would be absolutely cool.
number 2.
Gotcha. Thank you for pointing that out. So, do you want to drive for a while, or okay? Yeah, I'm really shaky. You're a better cameraman than I am. I mean, I got Blair Witch going on over here. Um, so if you look up, you see where it says VACC OK, and mostly you say VACC. So that means the that's been vacuum box tested. So the Gulf Copper, as part of the quality control on the welds, takes a vacuum box, puts it over the weld, and then sucks the air out and see if there's any leakage. So if the air pressure doesn't stay close to zero and it starts creeping back up, then that means there's a leak in the weld. And they usually put soap and water on it. So if there's air coming through the weld, they'll see where it bubbles up at, so it can be addressed. And then after that's done, every exterior weld is checked with um, other non-destructive testing means, so like dye penetrant testing and magnetic particle, so to make sure that we have good welds on the ship, and she does not leak. And the numbers. So if you see the numbers in yellow written on the hull, that's the thickness of the hull in thousandths of an inch. So like 505 right there. Um, the U505 didn't come graffiti us. That's actually the thickness of that steel. So it's a little over, just a shade over half an inch. And anywhere you see flat weld, you see a weld bead, and the steel's smooth, and the other steel's rough. That's our patches, are repairs that were done in 1989. What's that? All right. All right. So if you guys want to help and contribute to um, what we're doing here and the work that we're doing, um, just know that no matter how you contribute, um, everything that we have is going into back into the ship. Yes, it does. We do have donations do help pay salaries, but our salaries aren't to mess around. It's for us to be here at 7 o'clock at night on a Thursday talking to you folks, or like we were doing earlier today, crawling through the superstructure, getting measurements for more repairs and new things to be put back on. Um, so what I want to, so a lot of ways that you can support are, um, you can go to our website. We do have some new offerings coming up. We will have pins made from the deck of the ship as we pull it up. These pins are made from it's with a partnership with a veterans support uh, a veteran support organizations, and so that these veterans will make it as their we'll make them, and then we sell them in partnership with them. So your dollar there will help this veterans organization, help veterans, and um, help us. The other way is obviously go buy merch. I mean, there's some really great shirts on there. Um, my favorite is the two-time World War II champion. My colleagues at New Jersey really don't like that one because yeah, they may have more battle stars, but we got it where it counts. Ah, rarely is there a walk around that we do where someone doesn't ask about the dead eye here. So this is a dead eye. Um, this is for the paravane, or streaming the paravanes on the ship. So paravanes were basically these tubes that had wings on them that flew through the water for cutting mines. So it was a mine defense system for the ship. It wasn't to like actively like sweep mines out of the way. It was more just to defend the ship. Um, and the way that this worked, so through each of these eyes, there would be a chain that ran through and ran up to the deck into a winch. And then the paravane would then attach to that chain. And then so the paravane, once the paravane is deployed, the distance that paravane is away from the ship can be controlled by where the position of the attachment point of the paravane tow chain is to this guiding cable. What's up? How are you supposed to rig that? It happens in dry dock. So that's the whole point of the chain that runs through back up to the deck. So once the chains are in place, when the ship's dry docked, you don't have to do anything underwater. So the paravane tow chain would then attach to this chain that's running through and then back up to the ship. And then so you do this to adjust the paravane once it's in the water. So the paravane's connected to this chain that runs up through here. It's attached here, and you can move this chain down below the water, or bring it back up and disconnect it, and bring the paravane back up on board. Pretty clever. The paravanes actually were a kind of a secret in World War One, and was kept hush hush until after the war. There's a nice U.S. Naval Proceedings article written by a naval officer in 1919 talking about paravanes and giving them some of the history and their use actually by battleships as a defensive tool. If you want to come see the paravane here, and you want to do what I'm doing right here, which is standing under the ship, barely. We do offer dock tours. We will be running dock tours starting this Sunday all the way through until the end of January. And we'll try to run them as close as we can until the ship's coming out of the water, because this quite literally is for most people, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It certainly might be, our goal is to dry dock the ship in 15 years. Don't know that it'll happen or not, but we have to keep people engaged and doing what we're doing. And but yeah, so come down. The dock tours support us dramatically. We do them every Sunday, and we do them in the mornings at least until we get into fall, and it's not so hot and humid. In other ways, you can support. I don't know. We do have a lot of, like I said, other community stuff coming off. The blister steel that came off the ship, we're working with Great Western Metals to. We're making silhouettes out of them. You can actually get those on our website right now. We have a hard time keeping those in stock, and there's a couple of different options that you can get of those. And again, that all goes back to supporting what we're doing. It A little, but not terribly so. That was one thing that we worked very hard with. I was skeptical of, and I pushed back on our engineering team pretty hard on having that much of the ship unsupported. But so far, we haven't seen really any adverse effects, and that is something that we all monitor very, very carefully, because we don't want the ship to buckle or collapse or anything like that. What we have noticed um, is a lot of settling in the ship. So doors that normally open and close just fine, some of them now don't close just fine. So just like if you lived in like a pier and beam house, over time they settle a little bit, so you either have to reshim them or, you know. So we're not going to do any work to address any kind of stuff like that where we've seen the ship kind of settle a little bit or just kind of tweak a little bit until the ship's back on the water and she's kind of back to her normal equilibrium. And once that happens, then we can go back in and see if there's any lasting damage that needs to be repaired. Because after all, ships aren't meant to be out of water. I was a huge proponent of dry docking or not dry docking, but dry berthing. A ship out of water like this. I kind of disagree with my colleague Ryan on kind of the long term effects of the ship being out of the water. But certainly the biggest, if the ship's not blocked properly, is settling into the blocks, and then you get all kinds of unintended sagging consequences. Again, you get things like doors don't shut properly, or I don't know, tile popping up on decks or things like that. That's just some examples of things that could happen. Um, but yeah, so no, I'm more of a let's keep them in the water, let's keep them maintained. And that's the big thing, is just staying on top of the preventative maintenance. I hope they might restore the what? The onboard diesel generator backup support. Well, we do have a much bigger diesel generator than the ship's original emergency diesel generator. That was a 90 kW uh, uh, DC generator. We have a 225 kW AC generator, and that is more than what we need. But yes, I would like at some point to be able to turn at least our Ford diesel over because that engine is pretty pristine.
Reopening estimate.
Oh, sorry, I'm taking the camera over for a little bit. Kyle's getting attacked by mosquitoes. Um, so we're looking to be reopened, or trying to be reopened um, by early next year. Obviously, the quicker that we can get open, the better. Um, one, because we don't have any like tour revenue, ticket revenue coming in. So we're subsisting entirely on donations and things like that to pay our bills and to fund the work that's going on. Look at that beautiful blue glow of the sky on that beautiful big blue battleship. Anyways, so yes, our right now is our target is early 25, but if we can open quicker, we will certainly try to do that. I don't know if I was good. So good question. So the 5-inch guns will go back. Um, we'll start putting those pieces back on. The mounts back on will go on towards the end of this year, and then the guns will go on probably early next year. Certainly before the ship comes off the dock. I have a lot of through the process of getting these guns off. Have a huge amount of respect for the skilled labor that got these uh, that removed the guns while the ship was floating and using crane barges. I can't fathom that, especially a lot of the, like I said, the tolerances that we're seeing to get the guns in and out of these gun ports. Hello, Georgia. How are the peaches? Um, no, we're going to paint it. That's part of our camouflage scheme, and also it is a preservative for the deck. So that's one thing that we will be doing to help keep the deck up a long time is maintaining the coating on the wood deck, and will also help us keep the caulk seam sealed and water out of from under the deck and rotting. Oh my god, these mosquitoes are horrible. Sorry, folks. Um, oh, ouch. Yes, we're trying to climate control the ship as much as we can, but nowhere near um, the level of like your house. So we're just trying to make the ship comfortable. As far as 1.1, if we saw that question, there are several still in existence. The Yorktown has one, North Carolina has one, and then there's a couple others ships that have them and museums that have them. The old Chicago piano. Synthetic wood decking is something that we have looked at doing. There's a lot of unknowns with it for us, particularly because of how thick our deck is. And then, we do have some concerns about um, how durable that's going to be, especially, once you start marring it's going to look like plastic and not wood. So we are kind of taking a wait and see approach to see if how that technology develops. But yes, that's definitely something we want to do, and we'll be looking at that by the time the ship redecks again. Is redecking again, which should be after I retire, because that this deck that we're putting down should last between 30 and 35 years. Oops, sorry. Is there a chance to get the galley up and working? Well, probably not. At least getting the ranges working, but we will. That's one of the spaces that we do want to get restored, and potentially it's safe enough to serve out of, for special events or things like that. Well, that is actually a great idea. I like that. But part of the issue that we have is all the steel that we're getting is fairly thick. Um, so you'd have a belt buckle that weighs probably 20 pounds. But yeah, if we have the opportunity to do that, I'd love to do that. I mean, we thought about that was one of the ideas I thought about doing for the tow crew, or for the riding crew, was on the ship. All right, excellent. All right, any more questions? By the way, the veterans organization that makes the pins, uh, their name is Veterans in Recovery. So I'm sorry that I didn't. If anyone from that organization is listening, I'm sorry that I didn't get your your name out in the first go, but we definitely will make sure we get it out now. So that's the organization that we're working with to make wood pins and things like that. Um, not yet. Not a lot, actually. I think we're losing at most 6 inches, which is roughly 500 tons of buoyancy. Yes, yes, she does. They're right there. Did you finish restoring the inside of the current car? No, we have not. It's going to be a while before we get to that one. The engines, there's a lot of surface corrosion, but none of it is irreparable. Not if I don't know Adam, but if you know him, send him our way. We'd love to talk to him. Sorry. Uh, cancel. There we go. We have actually thought about using some renewables, but they would not be installed on the ship, and a lot of it's going to be situated where the new home port location's at, and whether that's feasible there or not. Uh, I feel that the ship is happy. I mean, I know it's irrational as well, but I feel the vibe coming off the ship. I certainly feel, as weird as it sounds, I certainly feel the ship's crew, Navy crew, kind of all of her Navy crews, kind of looking over our shoulders, and I feel that they're with us. I certainly felt that during the tow, and it was pretty incredible. Yes, most of the interiors are that was open to the public. We'll be getting cleaned and repainted. My favorite part of the ship is the whole ship. No, no, no. I like being up in the superstructure because it's really unique. Um, there's no other ship that has a superstructure like this. It's kind of a pain in the rear it can be at times, but that's one of my favorite places. Ugly ship? No way, man. Uh, I don't know what fiddly means, but that's awesome. Yes, we are working on CIC. Our volunteers are in our off-ship warehouse. Thank you for pointing that out. Their commenter, along with the same warehouse that we're working on the guns. We have a group of volunteers who are working on restoring components from CIC, which will go back in once the ship is in the water. We are going to have a camo scheme. Measure 21. That is a camo scheme. So we'll blast out the mud and silt from lower. Yes, we have been doing that. We spent a lot of money removing mud and silt that has accumulated. We're still removing some of it, along with salvage patches, concrete cloth, anything that could trap moisture in the bottom of the ship up against the steel. We removed because we don't want the ship rusting from the inside out. Sadly, we're not able to put as much of an internal preservation on the interior tankage as we wanted to this go round, but at least we can slow down the rate of corrosion. Quite a few. The thick armor starts way up here, so pretty much right behind where that new steel is at, and then it runs all the way back to the aft end of the ship, almost all the way back to the rudder post, and that is 12 inches thick, and then tapers down to 6 inches at the very stern, and then that's the belt itself, and then up here through here we have casemate armor, which is much thinner. Uh, Certainly improved. We will be sitting a little bit lower in the water, but not drastically so. To the buoyancy question. That's right. Sloop of war. Ow! That gum. Sorry, folks. They add. Originally, they added about 3,000 tons. What we're putting back on will give us about 2,500 tons of buoyancy. All right. Which is the most corroded part of the hull? The the blisters, and then back around the stern of the ship in the engine room, where most of the water had been coming in and sitting. So we're kind of standing right here because there's a lot of light right here, and so we can kind of keep panning over the ship and asking questions. I appreciate that. I'm going to be taking a bath in witch hazel when I get home. I know it's a old home folks recipe, but remedy, but it does work, or at least maybe psychosomatically it works. Yes, that is definitely on the agenda. Is to have awnings. We are also changing up how people come onto the ship. So used to you come down at the at the aft quarterdeck, the kind of the elliptic quarterdeck, um, way back there behind the monopile boxes. Um, so now we're actually looking to put a gangway pretty much where the gangway is right here between the ship and the wing wall, and then just a little bit forward of where the stair tower is at. Um, but yes, and we'll have all those area. My vision is from the moment you step on the deck of the ship, you're out of the sun unless you just want to be in the sun. Yes, the engines could be restored, but that's a lot of money and really low on the priority list right now. Yes, yes, it does. Um, Someone just asked about wanting to come and volunteer that they couldn't because they live so far away. One of the things that we want to do after we get reopened is have maybe twice a year volunteer weeks. So you come down, you actually stay on the ship and do work. We feed you, and yeah, and get some work done on the ship and enjoy the time and camaraderie. Um, Yes, that is definitely on the goal. Is getting the captain's cabin open to the public in some capacity. We just restored the. There's a map of the Atlantic Theater in the captain's cabin. We had a conservator come in and stabilize it, and then it had been painted over and remove a lot of the paint that was on there, and then the sections that had been completely damaged and destroyed recreated it. So we really, really want to show that off. That is a tremendous amount of work that was done, and by awning conservation, and we want to. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. I wish we could have stopped in there and saw it, um, but unfortunately, there has not. We're still working on trying to keep the ship in Galveston. Heck yeah, come on, Texas. Any 2023 technology upgrades? Well, certainly a lot of welded steel. That's definitely newer technology um, than as built. One of the big things is again is trying to look at more of the. We're going to add in a lot of newer safety features for the ship. The fire alarm system will be upgraded. One of the big things that will be coming is Wi-Fi. We'll have a public Wi-Fi system on the ship. So there's 2023 technology. What will happen to Texas's old berth? That is up to the Texas Historical Commission. That is their property, and I know that they want to restore that battleground to how it appeared in 1836 during the Battle of San Jacinto. But I don't have a lot of insight on that one. Just that I wish those guys a lot of luck. They're really great guys to work with, and yeah, I kind of well, I don't kind of I miss those guys. Would you rewrite the ship as a rewrite? Actually, no. That's the charm of here is we actually use a lot of the original wiring circuits and it works just fine. Wherever we have to put in where things have kind of been kind of kludged together, where new receptacles and put on original lighting circuits, that causes issues. But once we start separating those things out, it works just fine. Um, A36 is the type of steel that we use. And so far as I know, it's American. In fact, this last batch of steel we got came from Louisiana. Right now it'll be the flag bridge, but we really would like to try our hands at maybe some one-off kind of specialty hard hat tours to go to the foretop, or maybe much more easier the aft fire control tower. Holy smokes! We haven't checked it for it yet, but if it did, that would be pretty awesome. Oh, sorry, that was a mosquito that just flew in my ear. That high pitched whine. So while the blister tank's flat on the bottom, um, it's easier for us to do maintenance pumping on them instead of trying to bring them down and taper them into the hull. Um, so if you look here, we'll walk over here. So as the blisters come down, you see the curve that they have. Can't see my finger. There it is. They would curve like this, and then taper in. So you had a very confined area right here that would trap water. So this is where the blisters terminated at. So it would trap water, and you couldn't get it out. So having it flat a little bit higher makes it a lot easier to maintain. It's also a lot easier to build. Um, sorry, I'm scratching. A lot easier to build, and then which means we stretch our budget a lot further and can do more work. I just wish we could do these more often. These lives are pretty fun. Can we get a banana? How about a hand? Does a hand work? Look, my hand's bigger than the battleship. Um, yeah, tell you about it. You kill one, their whole family shows up to the funeral. Mosquito, that is. Thank y'all for your support. Pretty awesome. Sabaton was pretty awesome. Very cool guys. Yeah, Kyle was took care of them and them out, and Hunter as well. Yes, we do want to do VR. We want to do a lot of more immersive VR and AR experiences on the ship once we're open. I mean, we think that technology is going to be the key to help us better connect to more modern audiences and future audiences, but also it'll help us tell the story of the ship much, much better. Ouch. All right, guys, we're gonna shut this down here in just a few minutes. So I'll do a few more minutes of questions and then Q&A, and then we'll shut her down. Another issue. Oh, that's a good question. Um, Actually, I don't think so. We do have parts of Missouri on Texas. Um, Actually, we did have our gun direct. Some of our Mark 15 gun directors were on our gun sites were on Alabama. They ended up on Alabama after World War II in storage, and then the guys over there, Shay and Matt, were like, "Hey, we've got your gun sites. They have your tagged as being from Texas and the frame number and everything. You want them?" We're like, "Yeah, we want them." But as far as I know, that's the only pieces that are on that had been on other museum ships. That's not to say that those other shifty museum ships might not have parts of Texas somewhere. Um, but yeah, we have a couple of 40s from Missouri, and then I'm pretty sure that most of our 40s came from the Iowas that were recommissioned in the 80s. Same with our Mark 51 gun directors, but I don't have a lot of direct proof of that. We have a gyro compass repeater that's currently on loan from the Navy that is from the light cruiser Houston. And then we have yeah, good, Kyle. We have the searchlights. They're tagged USS Arizona, but we're not 100% sure if they were actually ever on Arizona, intended for Arizona, and ended up on Texas, or had been installed on Arizona and then pulled off of Arizona uh, prior to 1941. But what we do know is those lights were not on Arizona in 1941 on December 7th. Uh, Whoa. What did you say of the plumbing? The plumbing? Actually, it's reasonably good. Mostly because we keep it. We don't use a lot of the original plumbing. Most of the plumbing that we do use are like the deck drains, which is just there's a condensate pump they just kicked on and dumping water over the side. And most of those are in good shape, and we're trying to make sure that they stay that way so we keep water from accumulating on the decks. Yes, we've had one veteran who's local, Mr. Giulio Zaccagni. He was on the ship in 1941, 1940, 1941, and he has been out here. And we're trying to get more, but unfortunately, because of the age of these gentlemen, it just makes it really, really difficult. And then also the conditions of getting onto the dock. Yeah, it's not ADA compliant. Um, will the ship be repainting? Yes, we will be painting a brand new coat, modern. That's another 2023 technology thing that we're putting on the ship. Modern epoxy paint on the ship, epoxy primer, and then a polysiloxane top coat in beautiful, beautiful navy blue. Chance of firing the guns on her for the 4th of July. For this 4th of July, no. In the future, I think we will be able to. Given the condition of our 3-inch guns, we should be able to blank fire those, but there's several kind of regulatory traps that we need to run on that before we can actually say, yes, we're going to do that. But we definitely want to do that. We are doing camo, measure 21. No, our bottom will be black just because it's cheaper. Um, we're using a high build system, the red paint, uh, the red anti-fouling. No one's going to see it, so we're not really messing with it and going through the extra cost of putting that on. Yeah, you could call measure 12 modified a dazzle scheme. It wasn't like, and then also measure 31 A8B. Measure 12 modified she wore in 1941 and 1942 to early 1943, and then measure 31 she wore for about 2 months at the end of 1944, and then was painted into measure 21. Uh, am I we are playing Village Line? No, as of right now, no, we're not. That is kind of a long term plan, is for village alarms and then for tank dehumidification as well. Um, so far, we really haven't had to repair the keel. It's actually in pretty good shape. All right, guys, we've hit the 90-minute mark, the 91-minute mark. So we're going to wind this down. And thank you all for watching, for sticking with us as we slap mosquitoes and kind of curse under our breath at them. Again, if you really like what we do and you want to contribute your hard-earned dollars, please go to our website, battleshiptexas.org. We have a lot of things there that are available so that you can support us and get something tangible back in return to remember the ship by, and or just get some nice shirts or stickers or whatnot. All of that helps us. It helps us do the things that we do to restore the ship. I do want to say, for everyone who's stuck around, we are going to be offering a new edition of the 1911 fairly soon. It will be a dry dock edition of the 1911. So just check out our website. Stay tuned for updates. As soon as we have what the artwork will look like, we will be blasting that out to show everyone what that looks like and when you can get some. If you are interested in, a commemorative pieces, like a commemorative 1911 or grips or things like that, we do at least have some of that available. Grips we don't have available now, but we will have soon. So please, please, please just keep checking in our website and go from there. And lastly, yes, I think we do have some on the Python question. Just email us at info at, and we will give you the answer to that question. Info at Battleship Texas. Um, oh, cool thing that we do have available. We have actually guitars that are made. Guitars. Let me say that as Texan as I can. Um, we have guitars available that are made out of the deckwood of the ship. They are very, very, very nice. So again, those things are available on our website. Check them out. Um, and then our friends at Old Market Guitar Works have made those. I also want to give a shout out to um, uh, uh, Great Western Metals, who's been cutting our silhouettes of the ship, which are available on our website. Um, so you can get a piece of blister steel that looks like the silhouette of the ship. So yes. Um, and you know what? I don't even have one of those yet. And just also remember, if you make any donation, your gifts are tax deductible. So, all right. Well, right? Yeah, I want to right over. Ah! Sorry, as I. Anyways, thank you guys for sticking around. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. And as always, but thank you for your support. We couldn't do what we do without you guys, and the great work that's happening here is directly related to the support that you all give. Um, and I promise we'll try to put out more content, but we are incredibly, incredibly busy. Um, we're having actually to take time away from our families tonight to do this for you guys. But it's something that we felt very, very, it was very important to do. So, as always, again, thank you, and come on, Texas.